called and asked you if you needed anything, even something as simple as him stopping off at 7-Eleven and this fool comes to your house with a Slurpee, that motherfucker didn't call you and ask you if you wanted one, but you let him in your house anyway. He ain't invited you to no family functions. You don't know none of his friends except the boys he was with at the club the night you met him. Don't know nothing about his family, his kids, his background, because this man has only given you the minimal information. He's told you enough shit to make you comfortable enough to open your legs. If you even got that far, because some females don't even bother to do all that. And then that's all bad. And that's a topic, that's a show for another day. But back to what I was saying. They give us enough information to make us feel comfortable. And then basically we give them what they want without getting what we want. And that's where I pause. We got to ask ourselves, what do I want? Do you want to just be a jump off? Do you want to just be somebody that men just, you know what I'm saying, run through you and then move on to the next? Or do you want that respect? Do you want that wifey title? Do you want to be the mother of his kids? Do you want to be cool with his family and him give a fuck about you? And do you want those just out of the blue, hey baby, how you doing? I was thinking about you phone calls. And if those are things that you want, ask for them. Because the worst that's going to happen is he's going to say no. And if he says no, that's even better. Because that is him letting you know up front what his intentions with you are. What he wants to do with you. What he is and is not going to do with you. I read this book. I don't know if you ladies have read it or not, or even you fellas. Steve Harvey wrote a book last year called Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. And one of the things in the book that I really remembered and just kind of stuck in my head was what he said about men and what they want from women. Basically, it's two things. When you're dating a man, you've got a man in your life or whatever, he's either there planning with you or playing with you. Which basically, in the planning sense, is maybe you guys won't get to the altar. Maybe you're not going to be the mother of his kids, but he's willing to take it there. He's willing to build and start something and try to stabilize a foundation. He is into you. You have something that he wants more than just sex. He loves your mind, your personality, your swagger, whatever. And then you have the man that's there to play. He never makes any plans with you. You guys don't really do anything too serious besides partying and having sex. Maybe he does come around and hang out sometime. Maybe you know a couple of his people, he know a couple of your people, but really, you're just playing. And that's exactly what it is. There's not even another word for it. You guys are playing around. You kicking it, y'all chilling. You guys don't even really have a title for each other. He may, to his homeboys behind your back, he calls you a bird, jump off, yimp. I've heard it all. And when your homegirls ask you about him, you're just like, oh, this is just the homie, a friend, booty call, nigga that comes through. Whatever titles we make up for each other, and that's what it is. And you got to decide, if you're in that point of life where that's all you want, still be careful. I mean, we all have to go through things to know where we want to be and where we're going. So experience is the key. But know what the fuck you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Don't just jump head first into some shit and then just play it as you go, because that shit don't work out. And if you do that, you're gonna wind up somewhere you really don't want to be. You're gonna be in a deep state of depression. You're gonna be physically and mentally run down. So always have a plan. If you're not ready for a relationship, alright, you ain't ready for a relationship, but that doesn't mean that you have to be a man's hoe either. If you are ready for a relationship, let that be known up front. Don't let a man think that he can just kind of fuck around with you for a little while and then dip out. If your goal is to be married, have family, successful career, big house, car, and all that blase, let that shit be known up front. And that's been a lot of my problem. Never being honest with myself or with them because of fear of losing them. Like when you meet a guy and you really like him, you want him around, so you kind of sacrifice yourself to kind of take on his traits and his attributes to try to please him. But then it's like, you got to ask yourself, while you're doing all this shit to please him, who's pleasing you? You know what I'm saying? Are you happy? Are you feeling good about yourself? Are you satisfied? And more often than not, the answer is no, but you're willing to sacrifice your happiness and your pleasure for him so you can be with him. We put these men on such high pedestals, which is fine. I mean, if he deserves to be up there, put him up there. But don't bring yourself down to level him up. There's no reason for you to get down on your knees and let this man stand on your back so that he could be higher than you. You guys rise together, and if anything, put yourself up as high as you possibly fucking can and make a man reach for you. Don't ever get off of your pedestal to be on a nigga's level or a man's level. Let him get his ass up there to where you are. And that, you know what I'm saying, that's the realest advice that I could give for this whole thing. If you don't pay attention to nothing else and you don't take nothing else away from this, even if you stop watching after this, remember that. Don't ever, I don't care who you are or what you're doing. I don't care if you working a fucking $50,000 a year job or you on welfare, if you got 1 kid, 5 kids, if you know who your kids' daddies are, if you don't know who your kids' daddies are, if you used to be a hoe, if you want to be a hoe, whatever. Always think as highly of yourself as you can, however high that may be, because for each of us as women, it's different. There are different levels, but you know what it is for you as an individual. And if you don't, then I suggest that you start writing shit down, start talking to yourself, start talking to your friends, and figure out what it is, what kind of woman you want to be, how you want to be treated, and how you want to be viewed. Because if you don't do that, then people are going to see basically a blank canvas, and they're going to draw and write whatever it is that they want or whatever it is that they see. But if you present yourself already painted and put together, they're going to treat you and respect you as such. Now, I don't want to come off as very preachy. I don't by any means have all the answers to anything. A lot of this is self-help for myself. As far as for other women, I am a work in progress, and every day I strive to make myself better than I used to be. So throughout the course of these broadcasts that I'll be doing, I'll also be sharing pages from my personal journals. I've kept journals ever since I was about 14, which was when I was pregnant with my first son. And I decided then when I was pregnant to keep journals of things because I was curious as to how I would change as a woman, because my mother told me, you're a child and you're about to have a child. You're about to speed through life really fast, and so many things are about to change for you. You're never going to get them back, and it's going to be amazing and crazy and scary. Write it down. And I did, and I have ever since. I don't know a lot of women that keep diaries or journals or whatever you want to call it, but if you don't have one, I definitely suggest you get one, because it's amazing to go back to those journals, those entries, and look at things and see how much you've changed from then to then. One thing I like to do is at the end of the new year, I take out maybe my last 2 or 3 journals, and I'll go back to that same date in the previous journals in the previous years, and I'll see what has or has not changed, or what things I'm continuing to do that need to be changed, or what things I've worked on. You know, so it's very empowering. So again, if you don't have a journal, if you don't write, definitely get into that. It doesn't have to be anything like wonderful. Nobody's gonna grade it. You know what I'm saying? It's your own personal thoughts, your own personal words. It'll make you feel good, because even if you have the best friends in the world, you may not tell them everything. But you need to let it out though. So, you know what I'm saying, if you could write it down and read it back to yourself, you know what I'm saying, that may make you feel better about a situation. It may help you resolve an issue. So to kind of open myself up, and because this is my first broadcast, I'm going to share from my journal. And then like I said in the beginning, I really appreciate and welcome any comments. If you have any problems or questions, any topics you'd like me to address, I'd love to hear from you. So I'm going to go ahead. This is a journal from last year, and the date is May 18th, 2009. 2009 was a really complicated year for me, to say the least. Mostly in my personal life, work and family and whatnot was pretty good for the most part. I have no complaints, but in my personal life, my love life, I just couldn't seem to get it together. And this journal entry really means a lot to me and really touched me really hard, especially with the topic of this episode of loving a black man, because before you can love him, you've got to love yourself. And how do you do that? Well, one way that I'm learning, and like I said, I'm a constant work in progress, I mess up just like everybody else, is through trial and error. So